Hello everyone and welcome back to Soul MCA's channel where we take the mystery out of the music. It has been some time since I've done a practical lesson, and so today will be practical lesson number 5. And I want to talk about gig bags or bass sleeves, and that's the one I forgot. All right, so there are different levels of bags or cases or sleeves, whichever you want to call them, and the one I should have shown you, I should have started with, I realize I don't have with me right now. But there are bass sleeves, right? There are these really thin, I'm going to put the picture in the thumbnail is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it one of the ones that you don't see. It'll be the fourth case that you don't see in the, that you don't see right now, but you'll see it in the thumbnail. They're really thin. I bought a bass from a friend of mine a few states away, and I went to get the case and I said, hey, you know, are you gonna have a case with it? It was a gig I was gonna meet him at, and he was gonna make the exchange with the bass there. And I said, are you gonna have a case with it? And he said, yeah, I'm gonna give you a case. So me thinking, okay, well, I already was going to the gig, I needed to bring my bass and a case, so I'm not gonna bring an extra case because he's gonna give me the bass with the case. And he did, he gave it to me, but it was a sleeve, so it was really thin, like probably as thin as my clothes, maybe even. And I took the bass, put it in the back of the church bus. Those of you that have church buses, you know, the 15-seaters. And someone went to open the door at the end when we got back to my home state, and it came out, fell on the floor, and cracked the outer coating. And there went a lot of the value of that bass. Fortunately, it still sounded great. It's still hanging on to this day. But the bass got damaged. It got damaged because there wasn't enough protection. And so those are the cases I suggest you stay away from. Now, if you're on a budget, you have no other choice, do that. If you know that the bass is going to be somewhere safe with you, maybe you're the only one traveling at all times, you're the only one between getting it from you to the stage or you to church or whatever, that's fine. You know, you do what you got to do. The other bass cases that I use a lot and I buy, and they're probably the most affordable, and I use that very loosely, cases that you'll see are a case like this, like I call them soft but padded case, right? Look something like this. This is a Fender one. I do not endorse any of these products that I have here, or I'm not endorsed, I should say, by any of these products. I will tell you the ones I do endorse, but I'm not endorsed by any of these companies. All right, so this is a Fender one. Another one you might see that looks like this is a Roadrunner case, and I like these cases because since they are soft, you can move them around a little bit. You can put a lot more in them. Like this one, I keep right now I have a strap in here, I've got my tone hammer in here, I've got I usually keep like one cord and one extra cord. I keep a small box with my tuner and some just random things I may need. I shove it all in there. Now I'm still able to get my bass and I'm still able to go. But I found continuously it doesn't matter what brand it is, and I think this happened to this Fender because I overstuffed it, but it notoriously happens with all these cases. Do you see this right here? Make sure you see this. See that? It's starting to talk at the bottom there. That is a hole, okay? That is a hole in the stitching. And eventually, this is still sealed up, praise God, but eventually the bass will make its way out of that. And I have been standing before, not with this Fender. It was actually a Roadrunner. It's been more than one Roadrunner, but they're still soft cases nonetheless. And my bass, standing in the bass just falls out from behind me because it's over time, it makes more and more space at the bottom of that case. Now, I'm not going to blame that company or any of these companies for that. It's just the nature of the cloth versus how heavy the bass is. And for those that know me from before my practical lessons, this bass, as well as all of my basses, are I have strap locks. So it ends up making the bottom of the bass a little sharper. And what usually happens first is that little circle will make its way out of the cloth and make a hole. and that hole will get wider and wider over time as you stuff the bag, as you use it more. And so at that point, if you want to keep using that bag, you should be using it ergonomically, holding it by the handle and not putting it on your back. What I would suggest if you do purchase any of these types of cases, these soft cases, is that you make sure you get a book bag style one. What I mean by that is that it has two straps that you put over your shoulders. And you want to make sure it's two straps, and you want to hold those straps one over each shoulder. And it's like, well, duh, Soul MCA, but it's not as simple as you think. I had a friend who had one like this, not this exact bag, but a soft case. Would double it and put it over one shoulder. And then one day, one of them popped. And then fortunately he was able to catch it because he just happened to have his hand up like this as he had it on his back. He was able to catch it, and that was good for him. But if he had it on both shoulders, he would have been okay anyway, because it would have just went down a little bit but stayed on either shoulder that he had. So just be careful. Soft cases, they do have their upside, which is their cost. They do have a lot more padding than the sleeves do, which is also great, which is why I appreciate them. And they're malleable, which I like, so you can kind of stick more things in them, whatever the case is. But they don't always keep your base safe long term. If you have the right fall for your base, that padding, although good, is not enough. Won't really keep your base from prevent it from getting seriously damaged, but will do some protection, which is good. But long term, they don't seem to hold up. So here is the solution I found that has worked best. And this is a much heavier duty case. And this actually happens to be a mono case. All right. Even kept my tag on the bad boy. This is a mono case. And this mono case I love because it is book bag style as well, soft as well. It's got a lot of compartments, which is another great thing of the soft cases that I do like too, the cheaper ones. This bag is a lot more expensive, but the padding, like, I wish you could feel this. It's so much thicker of padding. Let's see if I can get you guys there, all right? And the other thing, and if you ever see this, you should definitely get it. This case, I got my other base in here, has a you see that protection around the neck right there? It has protection. If you ever see a case with neck protection, you should get it. Sometimes they come with some Velcro that you wrap around the neck. Definitely, I recommend that you get that. And what I like about this base case too is this is a top loaded, right? So some basic cases, you put your base in from the side or kind of like halfway on the slide. This one opens up from the side and closes at the bottom, which I like. So you can just tuck your base down in there, and it's less likely that the seams will break towards the bottom. And why I will never have to worry about the bottom of this bad boy, it is reinforced down there. And let me tell you, it is on the inside and on the outside. And I love the color on this. I love the padding on it. It is my favorite case. But I have noticed that some of the longer bases or thicker bases do struggle to get in here. This base that's in here now is even in here kind of snug, but snug can be good. As long as it's not hurting the neck of the base, you do want it to be protected. I have no doubt, and it has happened, that if this drops, the base is going to be fine. I don't even look twice. I just go over and gently pick it up. Right, so if you can afford a mono bag, I highly recommend a mono bag. And the last suggestion that I have, and I'm running out of room here. All right, the last suggestion I have is this case right here, and this trumps all other cases. So the only con about that mono bag is the price. I don't really have any other cons except, well, if it gets ran over or it goes through some really extreme hit, it probably will not keep the base safe. But how likely is that at a typical church event or typical gig? If you're touring now, that might be another different scenario, but those are good. Those mono bags are great for airplane rides. This is the last guy, right? And this is a hard case. Right, it's a hard case, and this is it. This will keep your base safe no matter what. I went on a trip to Europe, and I brought my base with me, and it got lost, and I was not happy. But even though it was lost, it came back safe and sound because it was in this case, and this case had gotten beat up quite a bit. I don't know where they put my case, but it got beat up pretty bad, but it was fine because the base was safe. All right, on the inside of this, I'll show you. Pure velvety goodness, so that's nice and soft. It's got plenty of space for you there. And the great thing about this is there's absolutely no damage that can happen to your bass. I mean, sure, damage can always happen in anything, but it's highly unlikely. If TSA is throwing the sucker around and nothing is happening to my bass, maybe a monster truck or something can run over this and possibly be an issue. But those are my best recommendation if you can afford them. They are definitely pricey, but will keep your bass completely safe. But again, the con is the price. Another con is there's no strap to put over your back. I like to walk with multiple things. I talked about in the amp practical lesson how I like to have one amp in each hand, and I like to have my bass over my back. You can't really get that away with that kind of carry with this bass, so it might give you one extra trip, which might be a con. The other thing is it's not really malleable. You can't like bend it or contort it, or like if it's the last thing you got to put in with a bunch of other gear with a bunch of other guys, it's just gotta fit. You can't make it fit. It's not soft enough. You won't be able to kind of shift it a little bit to work in there. It either fits or it doesn't fit. And may not fit in a typical trunk either. It's fairly long. If you have the fold down back seats, you might be okay with it. So those are various cases, and my recommendation on what to do with those cases and some stories I've had, some things I've gone through. This has been some trial and error for me, and hopefully some of the things I've gone through you will not have to go through. Again, I'm not really knocking these softer cases. I've had quite a bit of them in my time, and I do like what they can do, but they often leave me high and dry. And for $40, $45, $50, sometimes they go for, I would like them to last a little longer or do a little bit more in the way of protection. But I'm Soul MCA, and this has been my review or practical lesson. The practicality is get as cushiony or as padded a case as you possibly can, because it just helps. And if you have neck support, always go for neck support. If you got top loaded, definitely take top loaded, because you don't want the bass to fall out, which has happened to me as well, where the zipper has not been zipped all the way and the bass is falling out. That because of that too, as well as I've had other times where there's been holes or someone forgets to zip up the bass. I've had other people zip my stuff up trying to do me a favor and it's fallen. So top loaded, lots of cushion, and preferably a hard case or something like a mono case that's pretty sturdy, and neck support. Until next time, I'll see you. Remember, the good musicians get the gigs, but the cocky ones don't keep them. This has been a practical lesson. Hope you have a good one. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and check out a video. Have a good one. God bless.